Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So, spoiler season is keeping me quite busy. If you haven't already seen the All Run and Haka episode, make sure you check that one out. And if you haven't seen the earlier episode with Valky and Tybalt, make sure you check that out as well. And like those episodes, I want to give a quick spoiler warning. Again, if you've clicked on this, you probably know it's a spoiler, but I just want to make sure that people don't continue and then get upset if they see a spoiler and they say, I didn't want to see a spoiler. So here's your spoiler warning, okay? But with all that said, let's jump into yet another commander that was spoiled today with Varragoth Bloodsky Sire. That is quite the metal name for quite the metal set. And it looks very metal too. It's like a demon. Yeah, it's pretty gross. But regardless of how gross it is a 2/3 demon rogue with death touch that costs 2 and a black. It has boast for 1 and a black. Target player searches their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. You can activate this ability only if this creature attacked this turn and only once each turn. So, like Foretell, which I've mentioned in previous episodes, Boast is a brand new mechanic from Kaldheim. It's an ability that you can activate, but only if the creature actually attacked this turn. So you have to actually put the creature into harm's way to actually activate that ability. And on top of that, you can only activate that ability once each turn. And because you can only attack on your turn, essentially one time around the table. Regardless, a repeatable 2-mana tutor on a commander definitely catches your eye. But keep in mind 2 things. Number 1, that card goes on top of your library. And number 2, you can make anyone tutor for any card. Well, I should say any card they want from their library. Now, of course, most of the time, it's most beneficial to target yourself with this. You swing with your 2/3 death touch creature, the opponent might not block, and then yeah, you get to tutor for a card for 2 mana. You put it on top, you get it next turn, everyone has a good time. But you can also use this card in a political way. Let's say that one player is really far ahead and you want another player to help you take care of them. You make a deal with that player, you swing at them, they don't block so your commander lives, and then you tutor up a Wrath for them to use. And there are some other sneakier strategies that we can use as well. So let's tackle some build ideas since there are a couple of different directions that you can take this commander. First off, yes, you can take this commander in a political direction and you can utilize other cards like Scheming Symmetry. It's a sorcery for a black and it says choose 2 target players, each of them searches their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. So usually you make a deal with one other player that you get them a specific card and then they help you out and you choose yourself and you get whatever card you want. Again, wheeling and dealing is the name of the game for a Scheming Symmetry type of deck. And actually more and more of these cards have been coming out pretty recently. For example, Wishclaw Talisman came out in Throne of Eldraine. It's an artifact for 1 and a black and it enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on it. By paying 1 and tapping it, remove a wish counter from it, and then you search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. An opponent gains control of Wishclaw Talisman, activates the ability only during your turn. So basically, you use this to tutor for something, you make a deal with someone else, you give it to them, they tutor for something, and they give it back so you can tutor one more time. Again, politics is the name of the game, and actually black is getting a decent amount of political cards, so the more and more that you get, the more and more options you have for this kind of a deck. Now, you obviously can take this deck in a more sinister direction, even when you're allowing other players to tutor. So if you've got the budget for it, you might utilize a card like Opposition Agent. It's a 3/2 human rogue with flash that costs 2 and a black, and it says you control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. And while an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were a mana of any color to cast them. So essentially, their tutors become your tutors. Obviously, this can help with fetch lands or their own tutors, and yes, it does help with this commander. So if you know someone's got something spicy in their deck that you want, now it's yours. You still have to cast it, but you can spend mana of any color to cast it. Another somewhat pricey but fun card to consider is Ob Nixilis Unshackled. Ob Nixilis Unshackled is a 4/4 demon with flying and trample that costs 4 black. It has whenever an opponent searches their library, that player sacrifices a creature and loses 10 life, and whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Ob Nixilis Unshackled. So that player might be able to search for something, but there's a steep cost. Sacrificing a creature, losing 10 life, making Omnixus bigger, and maybe also in that kind of a deck you also have ways to mill your opponent so they lose that card anyway. In Magic, you can do some pretty mean things even when you're allowing your opponents to tutor. Another type of card to consider, and thank you Eddie for this recommendation, is a Miracle like Entreat the Dead. A sorcery for XX black black black, but we're never going to be paying that because we're going to pay its Miracle cost of X black black, return X target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now I could be wrong, so correct me in the comments below, but I believe this is actually the only Miracle in black, but more may come out in the future. Regardless, probably the most powerful direction this deck can take would be combo. Being able to tutor up specific things allows you to get combo pieces, and you can win from there. So maybe you tutor up Ad Nauseam, which you can cast, and it might just get you Sickening Dreams and Dark Sphere, or you can just, tutor them all up, or do other things. You get the picture. There are plenty of combos, even in mono black, that you can utilize to win. So if you're going to go for the combo strategy, you probably also want some ritual effects like Dark Ritual to get your commander out on turn 1. Turn 1 commander followed by a turn 2 tutor is pretty ideal. But now let's talk about some similar commanders to this one. There are a few, but there was definitely one that came right to mind the second I saw this card, and that would be Marilyn of the Mornsong. Marilyn of the Mornsong is a 2/3 elf wizard that costs 1 black black. She has the lovely text, players can't draw cards, and at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player loses 3 life, searches their library for a card and puts it into their hand, then shuffles their library. So she's also a 3 mana commander that allows everyone to tutor, essentially. Now there are a bunch of mean things that you can do with this commander, like say get an opposition agent out, and yeah, game's over pretty much. But there's definitely a lot of ideas and directions that you can take from this kind of a deck, and then that you could apply to this brand new commander. So if you're looking for ideas for Varragoth, Marilyn of the Mornsong is probably a good spot to start. And another mono black tutor commander is Sidisi Undead Vizier. She's a 4/6 zombie naga that has Death Touch and Exploit, and she costs 3 black black. When Sidisi Undead Vizier exploits a creature, you may search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Now, unlike Marilyn or Varragoth, this one's only going to tutor for you, but you can still get some ideas from this kind of a deck as well. That's especially the case if you're going to lean heavily into that combo strategy. Now, although Varragoth can definitely be a commander, and we went through those build ideas, I think it's actually more suited for the 99. So let's talk about some commanders that should be probably considering Varragoth for their deck. And the first you might recognize, because he was already brought up in this episode, with Obnixilus Unshackled. Obviously, a repeatable force tutor can be great for an Obnixilus deck. Because of the whole sacrifice and losing 10 life and making Obnixilus bigger, and also probably getting rid of that card anyways. That whole thing. Or Varragoth could fit into more of a tribal deck like Anawan the Ruin Thief, a rogue tribal commander. Anawan is a 2/4 vampire rogue that costs 2 blue black. First off, Anawan is a rogue anthem, giving all of the rogues you control +1/+1, but he definitely doesn't stop there. He also has whenever one or more rogues you control deal combat damage to a player, that player mills a card for each 1 damage dealt to them. If the player mills at least 1 creature card this way, you draw a card. So Varragoth definitely fits right into this kind of a deck. First off, Varragoth has Death Touch, so he's hard to block because anything that blocks him, he kills. And then milling for 3 and getting to tutor, that's not too bad as well. So now it's time for me to give my gut feeling on Varragoth. And really, in all honesty, when it comes to this card, I think it does lean more so to being in the 99 of certain decks rather than a commander on its own. Now that definitely doesn't mean that you can't make a commander deck around this that's very effective and very fun. I just think the majority of players are probably going to lean toward putting it in other decks. And with that, the show has come to a close, so it's my turn here from you. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.